we're gonna document what just happened.
Yeah.
So we're on the train to Ancona to go to Medjugorje.
On the ferry.
On the train.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We took a train to the ferry.
We did take a train.
We're on the train to the ferry, and first of all, it stops at this stop called like Flamenco or something like that at 3 hours into the train ride, and we think that's ours. We're about to get off, and then we kind of had a second in doubt, like, oh no, that's probably not it. So, thankfully, we didn't get off because the next stop, Ancona, was still far off. So that was our first good God save, and then
the second, we got to Ancona and the lights in the cabin, or like in the train car, went out.
After it stopped.
So we're like, oh, like, it's the last stop. It must just be like turning the lights off, so like they know everyone should get off. And then we go to the door and press it to open it, and nothing happens. And we pressed it again, and nothing happened.
And this Italian family's in the cart with us, and they come up and they're like, aperto? And we assume that means open. We're like, no, it's not opening.
And then we went to the other side, and nothing opened. And then
we didn't really know what to do.
We went back and like forced the next.
No. Then it started moving.
Then the train started moving, and we're like, that was the last stop. Where's it gonna take us? So we peek our head out. We put our head against the window, and we're like, maybe this guy that's like waving the train over will see that there's still people in here and pull over. And he just passed right by us.
So we like manually opened the in-between tram car doors, and then the lights in the next cabin were on, but we were still moving and didn't really know what to do.
And then finally we went to that door and in the car with the lights on and opened it. And so we all got off, and we're like in the middle of the train tracks, and so we're like, where do we go from here? The like station's down there now. And so then this Italian family gets off, and there's gibbering, and they're really angry, and so they go up way up to the front of the train to talk to the director, and they're just like yelling all the way back and forth.
Little kids were like getting at it.
Yeah, they were intense. And so then we just were like, we'll just stick with them because we don't know what's going on. So here the Italians just yelling. We don't even know what happened. We're in the middle of the train tracks. So we just follow them, and we finally get over to the train station. We just kind of like leave them behind and get up. We're like, okay, next stop. We need to find the ferry port.
Sure. So we looked at a map and we're like, oh, it's not that far. We'll like walk it. No big deal. So we're like walking. And we get to a place where we can see, like, really, like, big cruise ship things. And, like, oh, this must be it. So we, like, get to this fork in the road. And Emma wanted to go one way and Angela wanted to go the other way. And we're like, what are we going to do? So we just went one way and we're like, oh, well, maybe if we just go around, we'll reach the entrance either way. No big deal.
So it's like this, you can see the ferries in the distance. And there's a big building. And there's roads, like highways going, and then it's just, a little industrial yard of ships. So we start circling all the way around it, hoping it'll just meet up on the other side. Well, it stops.
And then it's just water.
Just water. And it's about 7:20, and our ferry leaves at 8. So we're like, crap, we need to go all the way around again. So we start running, and then walking, and then running, and then walking, just trying to get all the way back around. And so we get all the way back around, and then I see the ferry in the distance. We go back on the street and walk down there, and we're like on a mission walking.
Yeah. Funny because when we left the train station, Savannah was like, I can walk fast, but not like as fast as you guys can. So like, let's not walk that fast. And then we ended up walking faster than that.
And we said, okay, Savannah, we'll just walk like we're not on a mission because we have plenty of time.
A whole hour.
Well, a whole hour. So then we finally go, it's like a few blocks down the road. Like, yeah, it's pretty far. And we're like sweating and hot. And so we get down and we go through where the cars go through, and we see a ship, but here's a fence between like anything. So how do we get through the fence? And then I see a sign that says check-in, but it doesn't have an arrow. So then we go and talk to the guard that's letting cars through, and he said, oh, no, you have to check in. It's 1 kilometer back the direction you just came. And we're like, there's no other way to do it. He said, no. So we're like, crap. So we start running/walking this way. And we got to a point where it's like, oh yeah, this is 1 kilometer. No. And so we just keep going and going. And then finally we stop and
like
we asked someone else.
It's like a safety guard or something.
Yeah.
Like a Coast Guard.
Yeah. And we went into this museum thing that, like, looked like it was a check-in. So we go in, we, like, walk around, Angela runs up, runs back, it's not there, we found out it was a museum. So we left and went back towards the ship and, like, asked this guard where to go, and he goes...
Of course no one speaks English.
1 kilometer.
Track over 1
he
kilometer.
He goes, trot. That's what he did.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, whatever that means. So we start sprinting back that direction again. So we run, and then it goes back into, like, the area of, like, traffic and stores and stuff. We're like, there's no tickets over here. So we keep running, and we run back, and by this point, we're, like, just miserable. And so this is when we split up into our roles, and I was the runner, running wherever I could. So I was just sprinting everywhere. And then
I was carrying the rolly suitcase and the backpack and my backpack.
Keeping guard over our luggage. Savannah was doing that too. And finally, like, it came to the point where it's 8 o'clock. We missed it. I really thought that we had just talked about all the amazing. We were so excited to go to Medjugorje. Like, I wanted to go since I was little, and just I know we all want to be there for, like, an open heart. We just have this. We just know that God wants us to go to this place. And so that realization for me I had there was like, everything in me. I was saying, it's kind of like when you're running away, when you know you have to get somewhere in, like, survival mode, and you can't run anymore because you're just so exhausted, but you know you just have to keep going, let's try this way, like, you don't want to give up. But it got to that point where I gave up, and I was like, we're not going to make it. And it was just, I didn't know what to do. I don't know if you guys are thinking the same thing.
I just knew that we had to find the Blue Line check-in, because what were we going to do tomorrow? Like, we needed a different ferry.
Yeah.
So I knew we needed to find it, didn't know how we were going to.
So at 8 o'clock, we just decided we were going to go into a restaurant and ask someone where Blue Line was. So I go into this restaurant, and they don't speak English again. And I show them the ticket, and I say, Blue Line, a port, something. So Angela and Emma are outside in the front, and the guy working points to the back, and he's like, that way, 1 kilometer. And I'm like, okay. And I just left because I was like, we're just not going to find it. So then I get out there, and like he said, from the back of the building, we go that way. So we see this kebab place across the street. And
we're going to ask someone else, because every single person says it's a kilometer this way. It's a kilometer this way. And we were running way more than a kilometer. So, yeah, we went into this janky little kebab place, and no one spoke English, and they were like, pen. So I assumed they were going to, like, write down directions, and I feel like an idiot going, like, porta, bigleta, ticket,
boat.
Check-in, boat. And he goes, pen. So I, like, give him a pen, and he doesn't do anything with it. So I take it, and I'm like, maybe I'll draw a boat. So I took a piece of paper, I'm like drawing a boat, and then he's like, okay, I don't understand this. So he calls a guy who can kind of speak English, and he's like, okay, I'll walk you there. And so we just follow him, and we wave Emma across the street. And so we cross this line, we cross this highway, stand in the middle where there's a line. Traffic is going on both ends. We're following this guy with, like, a huge diamond earring, and he doesn't really speak English.
He, like, rolls a cigarette while we walk and starts
not
smoking.
Not a cigarette. He starts rolling up, and we're like, okay, and he walks us back into the shipyard, okay? So dark and shady and everything, and we're like, where are we going? We're just defeated. We're not going to Medjugorje, but maybe this will give us a peace of mind that, yes, for sure, the check-in is closed, because I'd already run through this whole area. Well, then he takes us, like, back behind these buildings, and finally, like, just randomly back there. There's no sign or anything.
We had walked right by it. 100 meters from it, probably. Really close. Yeah, at least twice.
Mm-hmm. So we go in there, and we go up to the window, and we're like, okay, I know I missed a ferry, but I just gave him the ticket, and we're like, okay, did this ferry leave already? And she goes, because it was 8:15 at that time,
mm-hmm.
and she goes, no, 15 minutes, and we're like, okay, spark of hope, but we're not there yet. And she goes, but the last bus to go over there, because of course there's a bus, even though we ran it all.
She was talking so slow. It's like, well, there's a bus, but that only leaves every 20 minutes, and
the last one
left. And like, well, and I was like, can we take a taxi? And she goes, okay, like the bus left. Do you want to take a taxi? I'm like, yes, give us the taxi. So then she called the taxi and like checked us in, like gave us our passes, and then we went outside and waited for the taxi.
She's like, wait for taxi number 11. So here we are, like praying the Memoria, like, okay, Mary. I don't know it.
That's okay.
I will by the end of Medjugorje.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're just like, okay, Mary, like, I don't even know. And so this taxi rolls up. It's not ours. We spring to it. We're like, here's a taxi. It's not the one we just called. So we're like, can you take us to Blue Line? And he's just confused. Quickly.
Really fast.
And then, so we start putting a suitcase in there. And then this other taxi rolls up and it's like, no, you got to get in my taxi because you called me. So we're like, okay, just take us. So we're like, fast. So we get caught behind a bus for a little bit. And then we like go fast there. Mm-hmm. And then he takes us up to the police station. And so we pay him, €15, whatever. Takes us to the police station, like, you have to go through the police. So we run to the police, we hand them our passports, and they're just lounging, like, checking our passport, like this, stamp. We don't even know if we have to go through security. It's like 8:25. And so then he's like, okay, the ship is that way. He was kind of making fun of us. You weren't there, but he goes, I'm like, okay, so it's this way, because I really want to make sure now. Mm-hmm. And he goes, yes, it's a big ferry, you can't miss it. Do you want me to walk out there with you? And I hesitated because I was actually going to be like, yes, please lead us there. But he just laughs. He's like, I'm just kidding. Maybe next time, right? And I was like, okay, thank you very much.
Next time.
And so then
we had to like run to
Did I say run?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, oh, it's the second one. Yeah. So we ran. And then, like, we were just so spent. But they're just like, just go ahead, just go. They told us, they were like, go. So we just like ran, and then like when we saw it, I stopped running, and Angela kept running.
I was like, we're not on this ship yet.
And then
we get up, and then we're just, of course, we get lost going to our cabin. We're just, where are we? We walk in, it's like a cruise ship, it's beautiful, but we're just like, are we seriously on this ferry?
Yeah, like, they like check our ticket and tell us to go to floor 6, and like, we're not really sure what they said, so then we went back and asked them again, and they were like, just go to floor 6.
So are you in so we're in a room right now.
And no, we got into the elevator, and we're going up, and I look at the ticket, and the name of our ship is Regina Della, Queen of Peace.
And then when we were checking in, there was a statue of Mary with like rosaries around it, and like little booklets for Medjugorje.
And a chapel.
Yes, and I just had a notion at 7:30 when we weren't even rushing yet, walking to the ferry, that I was gonna run on the ferry right before it left. I don't know why, I just got that feeling. But then I was like, nah, that only happens in movies. That doesn't actually happen. And you know what? And so we got that whole feeling of like, I'm not gonna make it. There's not even a sliver of hope, and then we're on here, and we're on our way to Medjugorje, and we're gonna appreciate so much more now because like Mary saved us.
She did.
She brought us.
We are so sweaty still, probably. That we got onto our little cabin and like dropped our coats, and like I'm just still so sweaty.
So we like laid down.
We just want to retell this because it's that feeling after the adrenaline. We're just like, this is the most traumatic experience in my entire life. We ran as hard as we could for an hour of running with backpacks and suitcases and like, thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Praise God.
Say Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Hail Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee.
Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Regina
Della,
pray for us.